Ever wonder why you're not catching as many fish as everybody else? Well, you might be making some classic mistakes without even knowing it. Daren Wendell with Wendell Fishing, and I'm going to walk you through 7 classic mistakes that might be costing you bites and how to fix them. And let's start with number 1, fishing history. A lot of times people assume that they go back to the same spot, that they're going to continue to catch big fish, more fish, and it doesn't work because fish are constantly changing their behaviors in their different places based off a variety of different factors, from the time of the year to spawning to water temperature to water turbidity to wherever the bait fish are moving, and probably 1,000 other different factors. And if you just continue to go back to that same spot over and over and over again, you're likely going to get frustrated. So the key here is to be able to adapt your strategy and fish in the moment and not fish history. I'll be completely honest with you, I used to do this all the freaking time, and I fish a lot of lakes around me, and I go back to the same spots, and I would consistently catch 1, 2, 3 pounders. But it's not until I started really becoming an expert in bass behavior and I started doing a lot of the pre-work that I start picking up 4, 5, 6, and even 7 pound bass. So if you want to evolve as an angler and you want to catch bigger bass, don't fish history, do the research and pattern those bad boys. Mistake number 2 is buying more lures when you haven't mastered the ones you already got. Guys, you can see behind me, I am terrible. I have done this. There are so many lures, they're not, check this out. I got lures that are not even out of the freaking package yet. Now I swear the time that it would take me to dial in just the lures that are in the packages, I don't know if I have enough time as a weekend warrior for the rest of my life to give to that. There is a massive industry trying to sell every single one of you and me on buying the new and latest and greatest lure. So if you're starting off, just dial in the basics, right? Learn how to fish the jig. I'm telling you, that's gonna get you a lot of fish, it's gonna give you big fish. Learn how to fish just the crankbait. Learn how to fish the spinner bait. Learn how to fish just the classic worm and start there, and then slowly add lures to your arsenal once you dial in the ones that you already have. This is why I teach having the unconfidence lure. And so what I mean by that is always having something hooked up in your boat or your kayak or take with you when you fish from the bank that you are unconfident with, that you have no clue how to fish. I'll show you the one I have hooked up for me right now. Right here. This guy right here. And also, if you don't have this Live Fishing neoprene rod gloves, I'm telling you, things are freaking awesome. Use the code Wendell Fishing over at livefishing.co. Grab yours. But my unconfidence lure right now is this guy right here. This is the Buka Baits Trick Shad. And I love this color because I did the research. I know that a lot of the bait fish in the bodies of water that I fish, they look exactly like this lure. So if you have a ton of lures hanging up in your wall and you never really get around to unpackaging them and trying them because you have confidence lures, make another one of those, your confidence lures, over time by having an unconfidence lure hooked up with you. All right, let's move on to mistake number 3. Now, mistake number 3, and I see it a lot when I take out new anglers, that mistake is really on the hook set. So a lot of times I get it, you get excited, you feel a tug on the other end of the line, and if you're new, there's a tendency to start reeling just really, really fast. And sometimes it'll penetrate past the bar, but a lot of times it will not, and you end up losing that fish. And so when it comes to hook set, just about every single hook set is going to require some type of force in order to penetrate that barb through that bass's mouth. Sometimes it's going through ligaments, sometimes you're going right through a little bit of skin into bone. And so you want to pin it the best you possibly can. Now, not every single hook set needs that, what you see on TV and a lot of videos, that massive rip the lips off of that bass hook set. Now, sometimes you need a nice forceful hook set. Let me give you an example. Let me grab my frogs. All right, let me see here. Got a lot of frogs in my frog box. So let me grab, this is my scum frog, this guy right here. You actually got to put a really thick gauge wire, 2 of them, through that bass's mouth. So that's why you see a lot of those forceful, massive hook sets with the frog. Amazon tier. Looks like I'm going to have to pause for a second. Thank you much. Okay. Not fishing lures. Bummer. Now on the flip side, I have some Ned rig hooks here. And so, if you don't know what a Ned rig is, that's what it looks like right there. And you can see this is not going to require a massive hook set. In fact, if you were given a massive hook set, this might actually bend out and you'll lose that bass. Some lures require a forceful hook set, others do not. So, all right, let's move on to mistake, I believe, number 4. So mistake number 4 is just aimlessly fishing without a plan. Not realizing that roughly 10% of the water you're fishing holds 90% of the fish. So this isn't an exact science. It might be 14%, it might be 8%, but the reason people keep repeating it because there's a lot of truth to it, right? Bass are going to be in certain places at certain times of the year based off of a lot of different factors: spawning, water temperature, sun, wind blown shores, you name it. And so this is why it's, once again, really important not to fish history, is because it's constantly changing and it might change from day to day. But really at the basis of where bass are going to be hanging out is a lot of times they're going to want to be up next to something, right? They just don't typically, sometimes they'll roam when they're feeding, but we have to understand that largemouth bass are ambush predators. And what this means is that they're going to want to be hiding. So a lot of times they're going to be hiding underneath that dock or behind that pylon, or going to be hiding next to these rocks. So they're going to be hiding the underwater structure. And they do that because that's how they live, right? That's how they feed. You get this little bait fish swimming by them, bam, it just nails it because the bait fish never saw it coming. So once you understand that these bass are going to be up next to something, they usually like just something, right? And so if you can find that something in the midst of nothing, a lot of times that's where largemouth bass are going to be hanging out. I always say if you're not getting your hooks caught up, well, you're not fishing in the right place. All right, let's move on to mistake number 5. And this one is not knowing a solid knot. Heard it said, if you don't know a knot, tie a lot. Well, that's a really great way to lose your personal best, because just tying a knot and then to keep on tying it over and over again is not going to cut it. So if you do not know a knot, go check out the Palomar knot. A lot of videos out there. It's a really simple knot. If you dial that in, it's about what I use 99% of the time. Now I'm going to get a lot of people like, oh, it's not the strongest knot out there. It's probably not the strongest knot, but it sure is the freaking easiest, and it's been working for me for years. And so if you're going to know any knot out there, start with a Palomar and then dial in a lot of the other knots. Trust me, once you learn it, you'll be like, how in the world did I not know this knot? Mistake number 6 is people go out without a plan. Right? And if that's you, if you want to go out to the same spot using the same lure because that's what you caught its first bass on 20 years ago, and that's what you've caught every bass on since, then you do you. I'm not going to try to talk you out of that. However, if you want to evolve as an angler, right? You want to grow, you want to catch more bass, you want to catch bigger bass, then start developing a plan. And what I mean by this is there's a lot of research you can do, especially in that new body of water, or the body of water you've already started fishing. Start dialing in where the bass are supposed to be. What I do a lot of times, I go on a map, I'll go through Google Maps and I'll go around, I'll start circling places, and I'll make a mental milk run in my head. And another thing I do is I head over to the Deep Dive app. This is an app that I've been using for years. And in that map, you can have a wind effects map, so you can see wind blown shores to the future. There's a water clarity map. You can see what parts of that body of water are going to have more turbidity, which ones are going to be clear. And so you can kind of plan your lures around that as well. You got stream flows. So it's going to show you where in that body of water stream and water is coming into. And a lot of times that water is warmer, and a lot of times it's bringing bugs and everything that kind of got kicked up, and bass are just sitting on the bottom of those ready to pounce and to smash anything that comes through there, including your lure. You scroll, you got a bait tool. So I really like the bait tool. That's what this is going to look like right here. And within the bait tool, you're going to be hyper specific to the body of water that you fish. So let's say I live near Lake Guntersville, and you can put in a variety of different, the makeup of your lake, and go clear water, stain water, dirty water. So let's go clear water right now, Lake Guntersville. It's going to tell me, it's going to give me a few options here. It's going to give me umbrella rig, medium diving crank, lipless crank, and let's go and click on the umbrella rig. It's going to show the effectiveness for this time of the year. Color, if you scroll down a little bit further, it's going to show you the cover, which you can fish it by, the structure, what you want to fish it in. And if you don't know anything about how to retrieve this bad boy, it's going to show you how to retrieve it, how to work it. And you scroll all the way to the bottom, it's going to show you the type of rod, the power, the action, the type of line. It's going to show you everything. And so this is why I like the Deep Dive app. If you're struggling, what lures should I use for this time of year, hyper specific to your body of water, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll throw the link to the Deep Dive app in the first comment below. But at the end of the day, go out with a plan if you want to continue to grow and evolve as an angler. Let's move on to mistake number 7. If you never fish the wacky rig Senko, guys, I'm telling you what, this bait right here. And these, I just got these in the mail from X Zone Lures. This is going to be the 5-inch, I think they call it the True Center Stick, green pumpkin, black fleck. And I can't tell you, I've caught thousands of bass on this lure right here. It's like bass crack. They can't help themselves. In fact, just yesterday in sub 50-degree water, I caught this donkey. And
oh, the bite is on, guys. Friggin' wacky rig on after ice off.
if you have never fished this, and you might even have some of these words, you never fished it wacky style, I got the video for that. Check it out right there. Deep dive app link in the first comment. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you. Bye.